So tonight's next guest speaker is Les Visible. And Visible is a prominent social internet web blogger, a writer, a novelist, and metaphysician. Visible fearlessly brings to light some of the most taboo subjects in the alternative media, focusing largely on Zionism, 9/11, and tribe banker-inspired wars. Please give a warm welcome to Les Visible.
Well, I hope you feel the same way once I'm done. First of all, I'd really like to thank Tyler for inviting me here, and Tahra for giving permission for it after he invited me. And, I was on the subway coming in today, and actually it all went very well. And then I heard the lady announcer on the train say, "We're approaching this station or the other, and the door will open to your right." And I was thinking, well, what if you turned around facing the other way? And that's not the case. And really, that's the situation with a lot of people in this life. They're going the wrong way in the first place, so everything interprets itself according to, the demographic of where their mindset's at. They're wrong all the way down the line, but it looks so right. Now, if this were 2 weeks ago, I would have come up here hammer and tongs on a particular subject and a particular group of people. Yes, that crime syndicate masquerading as a nation over in the Middle East. They put it together as a country so they would have a sovereign autonomy in that location to commit international crime. And this is what they do. Now, I only recognize one location there, and that's Palestine. That's where the original people from the place live. Now, these other people claim to be the people that they displaced. However, genetic testing shows they're not those people. And this is why they blotted out the names of all the towns and all the streets, and they are supplanting these people as kind of like the HIV virus in a way. You know what I mean? It replicates. Yeah, except it's a little more dangerous. But if this was 2 weeks ago, I would have come in here and I would have really probably gone at it. But some things have significantly changed for me in my life in recent time. I have been through somewhere around 5 years of torment and personal hell. And I knew it was coming, I was warned. I have these invisible friends. You can believe that or not as you wish, but people who come and visit me and run into them, I was like going, yeah, I know you said you had them, but I didn't realize they were going to show up. And that's happened any number of times. And they tell me things, and I was told I was in for some real suffering. And boy, I was correct. But then I was told it was coming to an end. And so lo and behold, on today actually, that the aspect changes. It was diminishing and weakening in the last 2 weeks. And so as a result now, I don't really feel like talking about that stuff anymore. You already know all this stuff about these people. I mean, and if you don't, you can go to my blogs. I've got reams of paper there about what's going on there. And so far, no one's disproved me. And I'm always open to change my mind and have people change my mind for me. You present me with facts. You present me with the clarity of truth. I will, in a New York minute, pirouette 180 degrees. Yeah. That's my promise to you now and for always. Anyway, but given that I no longer feel very much like the way I used to feel, I want to give you some practical, useful things that you can use and take with you. Now, interestingly, about a week before I was on my way here, I get this email from this fellow Paul, who lives outside of London. And he said, look, if you need someone to pick you up at the airport, and of course Jim Murphy also made the offer for me, and this guy said, you can also stay at my house too, if you want to, if you like couch space and stuff. And I thought, well, that's probably the best way to do it, to just come into the area, and then there's someone who's amendable to me, likes me, instead of like coming in not knowing this huge city anyway, and running around looking for somewhere to stay. And so I came in, and I said to him, well, he couldn't come because his wife's away and he has children. And I said, well, I should come and stay with you anyway because we'd never meet otherwise. So I came in and he took me back to his house. And we were talking, he says, oh, by the way, you know that thing, that snorting technique you teach? And I said, yeah. He says, well, I've been doing that. He says, and it's wild. It completely changed my life, and so all these strange things are happening. And then I stopped doing it. I don't know why I stopped doing it, but I did. And interestingly enough, that was the very thing, one of the things I planned to come in here and talk about today, was this particular technique. Now, we are our worst enemy. And all your problems exist in your mind. That's where they're located. Forget the world outside. The world does nothing more than mirror what your perception of it is. And you have no idea what it really is anyway. It's something that you created according to your appetites and tastes and your ambitions, okay? You can't get clear in your mind, and you can't come into a state of serene contemplation until you stop the war with yourself. And the only way you're going to stop the war with yourself is to empty your mind. Throw everything out, the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever. Toss it all out. And you do it like this. Whenever a thought comes into your head. Or you can do this. It'll go out the other side of the ear. If it came in this side. I don't really know which way it came in. But you can snort, you can do it that way. But every time a thought comes into your mind, you keep doing this. You do it relentlessly and intently, and eventually, strangely enough, your mind will empty. And once your mind has emptied, the still small voice that's within every single one of us will begin to speak to you. And you will cultivate that, because once your mind is empty, you send the focus to your heart, upon the love that is in your heart. Now, for most of us, the love in our heart is not nearly so great as it could be. It could be much bigger. But the heart's a pump, and I like to compare it to like an outdoor water pump. You go out, you grab the handle, nothing's happening. But then eventually the water will begin to run. But in the beginning, the water will be rusty, right? Just like our love is impure in certain ways, because love is something far, far greater, more intense and amazing than anything we may presently think. It always will be. It's incomprehensible. God is love. Now, Alan Hart mentioned earlier that he doesn't believe in any of that kind of stuff. Well, I think what Alan Hart doesn't believe in is religion. And I don't believe in religion either. But God and religion are two different things. Religion is the business end of God. That's something set up to create divisiveness and fighting between people. But within you is the divine, and you can invoke it and you can bring it out. So you take that pump and you start to pump up your love with this empty mind. You start to make contact very quickly with all the forces of good. They know when you're doing this. A certain light appears around your being that telegraphs itself up to like invisible entities that are flying over the planet all the time, looking like, oh, let me go check that out down there. The same way that the demons go, and for people so well disposed in that regard as well. Now, yes, there's evil in the world, but the only evil we have to be concerned with is evil in ourselves, because as Christ said, greater is that which is in you than that which is in the world. And if God is for me, who can be against me? In other words, the battle's won. Once you defeat yourself, Armageddon's over. All this stuff is over. You are triumphant. All the armies of the world can be arrayed against you. They got no power. It's all dependent upon your faith in that which sustains you. And believe me, you wouldn't be alive. You could not be living unless the divine spark was in you. Deny it as you like. But I like to refer to God as the dynamic animating principle. And I know God differently than most people do. The God I know, he uses profanity sometimes when he wants to be emphatic. He's got a wicked sense of humor. And, well, I hang out with him every day. He is my sole attraction in this world because I've already tasted the rest of what's available. It don't match up. And anyway, you do this. Now I want to give you a little something else. Now, when I had my Kundalini experience, which was so intense it lasted for 3 straight years at the level it was at, I had these contractions and things happening in my body. And I will stop for a moment and just demonstrate a little bit. You see what I'm doing in my body here? I've tensed every muscle in my body. Now, I spent 4 years in prison for something I didn't do, and was facing a life sentence later on in Hawaii for something else I didn't do. But I have this bad habit going into the public and speaking, and it really annoys the powers that be. So they decided to destroy me, and they sent me to this really bad prison. Well, I had this Kundalini thing happening. So they sent me to Petersburg Reformatory, which is a gladiator school. And meaning there's a lot of prisoners there of a certain age group. And I mean, it's, unless you've been in prison, especially in American prison, you have no idea. And I realized I had no choice but to be like this all the time. So I mean, all my waking moments, I was tense up like this. Within a fairly short period of time, I became incredibly strong. Like people would come up to me and I would just, like that, put them on the ground with absolutely no effort on my part. I would go around with my shoes off, we had tile walls, and I would kick them with the sole of my foot and make them ring with no damage to myself at all. Those are just some of the different things that happened. Now in India, they have these people called the fakirs. And they'll do something like this, hold their body just motionless in this position for a week, 2 weeks, a year. Some of them put earth under their tongue and put a plant in there, and a tree will grow out of it. Okay, it's amazing stuff. But what these fakirs, the reason they do this is to get these things called cities. These are powers. They're available to anyone who's one pointed about getting them. You don't matter if you're good, doesn't matter if you're bad, just that you do the necessary to get these powers. I'm not into powers that way. I know someone who has power, and I don't want to be anything but an employee, and that's what I am. But if you take some of these techniques here, that, or this dynamic tension thing, just for like 10, 15 minutes a day, it will tone and tune up your body at a certain point, and it'll make you very physically strong. It will also really bolster your immune system. I mean, when you consider some of the things I've done to myself over the years I've been here in the shape I'm in, I have to be doing something right. And I don't offer anything I haven't proven out. And other people have tried this too, and it works. So, as you empty out your mind, you become the master of your mind. You have to stand guard at the gateway of your mind and watch every thought that comes in, because that's where all the trouble starts. And next thing you know, you got this huge, crowded room full of all kinds of things. And you don't even know some of the voices that are there until you get rid of the really loud ones. And then down here, you're, and you finally get down into the quiet. And you got to do it for a while. Now, some of you might have instant success. I don't know what your karma is. And some of you, it might take a while. But the one thing I do know is that if you don't give up, you cannot fail, period. You have to have that absolute optimism. You have to be certain and just be perfectly simple. Just be simple. And it'll all work for you because you're being watched. You're being watched all the time by the only ones that count. That's all I have to say today in terms of my talk. I was going to read a couple of pieces that I wrote in honor of this new headspace I have. I won't be doing the dramatic heavyweight stuff. I should thank Patrick Willis also for having taken so much time to record so much of my work. I'm very, very grateful to him. This one is called Real Love. Love opens things, so love would hurt as much as heal. Real love, it would confuse, disarm, weaken, and destroy everything in its way. Everything that was, in fact, a part of you that would conceal real love. Real love lasts forever. We do not last so long at the moment, until we become real love. Real love has come to town, 6 guns blazing in a town full of lies. Now to the showdown, the duel in the street. Real love is the only thing left standing. Real love rides alone, squints out of one good eye, nails the coffin shut. Nothing got out alive except for real love. Real love is going to make you cry, make it worse before it gets better, tear you up inside. Real love, who would want such a thing? It takes the atmosphere away, breaks all your toys, burns down your home, and steals your car, but you're not going very far anyway. Real love has got its hands on you, burns from the inside out, nothing left. Nothing but wide prairie and huge commanding stars. You've never been so alone. You've never been so complete. Outside the golden ring, the cities burn forever, and you can never fall asleep again. Real love. Well, now for some reason, I brought something else up here that isn't what I had in mind. So I'll just dispense with that anyway and just mention something else, because I'm going to end with a a cappella rendering of a tune I wrote. So I have to preface it a little bit. There are a lot of things they make illegal in this world. And because of that means they're good for you, okay? Especially certain drugs, which I happen to like a whole lot, okay? Because I blow the carbon out of my jets with these psychedelics and things, okay? Because the world, this intense, suffocating materialism is intense. But boy, when I get behind some industrial strength psychedelics, pooh, I blow it all out of there, okay? And I'm cleared up for a while. Yeah, no sinus congestion at all. Esoterically speaking. And the things they make legal are very bad for you. For instance, Big Pharma. You know, Big Pharma is killing more people in 1 year than illegal drugs kill in a century. And this thing I'm going to talk to you about now, it kills even more people. It's the worst girlfriend you can have, the worst boyfriend. And I was in India last year, and I had a powerful Kundalini experience because I was near the Arunachala, the Shiva mountain. And I had to drink day and night. It was the only thing that would calm me down. It was beer after beer after beer. And I'll tell you, that cost me a little something after I was done. But I still like a beer now and again, but you know, after the first one or two, it goes this way. So anyway, on to the tune. Alcohol, whoa, alcohol. You taste so cold and sweet, you knock me off my feet, but you make my soul crawl, yeah, alcohol. Green and brown your kingdoms come, the bottles gleam and drink the heart, but deep within the spirit drowns, and what is lost cannot be found, and what is lost cannot be found in alcohol. Jesus is the only way, but I don't think I'll go today. I'll just sit back and have a ball with my old friend, alcohol. When the moon rises, I hear your call. I want to be somebody different, or no one at all. I want to rage like the devil, stand 10 feet tall. Still, you're a fool if you listen to alcohol. Fire in the blood and death in the air, but I got no fear. Hey, what do I care? I can beat every system. I can climb every wall. I'm the king of the moment with my queen, alcohol. Oh, questions.
Anything to discuss? Any
Intelligent questions. Yes.
Yes, Principal. I was wondering which drugs you recommend.
Okay. Well, a lot of them. I would really have to look at your demographic and see what would work best for you. But I recommend for psychedelics the easiest and less invasive and less likely for freak out no matter what if you're of tender sensibilities. I never had that problem. Mushrooms. Cubensis, Mexican especially, the green guys when they powder it up in the powder. Psilocybin, they've got it now in a liquid form. Pretty darn safe. I mean, I usually take about 7 grams worth, but I mean, you take 3.5, you're on a mega trip. Pure LSD, you get on the Silk Road, you can order anything. And most of the quality is very, very good. I myself have given a lot of time to the use of ketamine over the last several years, but I've just backed away from everything now. I'm doing nothing. I stopped smoking a couple of months ago too, but now I allow myself 1 a day if I want, or 2. I'm traveling, I need a distraction. But that's been working, you know. I've really just turned my life around in terms of all the things I was doing. Doesn't mean I'm not going to take psychedelics again, because I can assure you I will. But for the safety's sake, for the ease, just for the ease and comfort, mushrooms. Not the Peruvian purple stem guys, those are much stronger, or the Hawaiian. These are the ones that come from Mexico, they grow in Oaxaca. They're easy to get. Yes, sir.
Have you tried ayahuasca for the doctor?
Oh, yeah. Ayahuasca's a brute. So I wouldn't mention that, because ayahuasca is not for the timid. For me, Lord Ayahuasca's brawly and heavyweight, and he comes in and he likes to kick ass. You know, at least he does with me. I mean, I spent part of an ayahuasca trip with my legs slamming against the couch as he emphasized everything he had to say. When I take ayahuasca, I like it to last, 3-4 days. I mean, I don't want to stop a good thing. So I brew up a massive amount of it, okay? I just keep taking it, you know? But I got plenty at home, but I haven't done that in a while. Thank you, man, this is a good idea.
Actually, I was wondering, have you had it following a specific ritual, or you just had it home?
No, I got my own rituals. I don't like, I never have been a joiner or an inclusive one in those respects. I was with a lot of people from Millbrook who were with Timothy Leary. And we used to do a lot of rituals in the Stone Circle in Woodstock, high up on Wittenberg Mountain. And we would sit in the circle. There'd be a fireman, there'd be the guide, you know, and we would chant to the Amitabha Buddha, who is the Buddha of psychedelics, and also similar to Jesus Christ. You were next.
I was going to ask you the same question. Is that whiskey?
Which was?
About ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty intense. I would say probably if you are not a seasoned traveler, it is best done within the ritual with these shamans or types, but watch which shaman you get to, because all of them aren't ethical. Oh, and he's next. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've been a follower of your blog for 5 or 6 years, Jason. I was just wondering, since you started out on your blog journey, so to speak, what have you noticed in that period? Significant jump in people's understanding and consciousness? We feel that, you know, we have got challenges.
Here's my take on that. Mr. Apocalypse is a real creature. You may think of him as God, but I think of him as that aspect, the archetypal expression of the divine, who is here because we are now in an apocalypse. And what my invisible friend told me was, okay, Visible, here's how I'm going to do it. First, I'm going to bestow my blessings. And you're in line for some of those, by the way. I was like, thank you. And he says, but unfortunately, too few. There are far too few for me to give the blessings to because they never took the trouble to actually chase me down, to relentlessly pursue me. And what am I supposed to do? How can I bless them when they never put any work into finding me? I was there. What, they looked for 2 days, that was it? You know, so they weren't looking hard enough. And you get checked on this. You get tested, trust me. And then he said, after that, I'm going to open a window of mercy. And for all of those who wish to come and taste my compassion, I am willing to be very forgiving. And you would be surprised what I might forgive you for. So he says, but many will refuse, for whatever their reasons may be. And then at some point, that window will close, and then the Punisher will come. And what I think about the awakening and stuff, everybody is being tapped on all the time. Some are responding, some aren't. But more and more people are waking up to certain basic realities. And what we're dealing with is critical mass. When enough people have awakened to a particular awareness of what tomfoolery has been going on, it's going to trip levers all around the planet because suddenly critical mass has been realized. This is why they are working so hard to keep us subjugated, you know, and filled with propaganda and all this, like distractions and things they throw out of there. Because they know the awakening is coming, and it can't be stopped. And I think it's going to increase and increase and increase. But as I say, I think you've got to start with yourself. You make the changes in yourself first, and everywhere you go, you will resonate. You will resonate this message. It may not hit people right there at the moment, but the next day or a week later, something that got said, something that happened, poof. So, there was nothing.
So, according to Aleister Crowley, it was Awas who dictated the book of the law to him. According to Alice Bailey, the externalization of the hierarchy, it was Kawul or ascended masters who dictated the book of the law.
Yeah.
And Madhu Blavatsky as well, and role of the Luciferians.
Yeah, well, those people have gotten a lot of bad press for certain levels. What I like to say about those things is, not all Masons are bad people. There are some fantastic Masons, okay? Are really good people. And Masonry itself is not bad. I know a little something about it. I am not a Mason. If anything, I'd like to think I'm a Rosicrucian, which they decided was also bad. A lot of people out there don't have any idea what it is. But so what I think is you got to take it with a grain of salt. This idea of Lucifer and Satan and all the rest of it. I don't know one way or the other with that. I got my particular demographic I operate in. That stuff out there don't really interest me. What these people did before, I wasn't around for. Madame Blavatsky, Alice Bailey, one of the clearest writers I've ever come across. Her book, Glamour, A World Problem, phenomenal. Her treatise on the Seven Rays, also phenomenal. Yeah, okay, Lucius Trust, Lucifer Trust, et cetera, connection to the United Nations. But the thing is, I don't really know. So what I do is, I take what's useful. I take what I find works, because I can get something from everyone, and I discard what is of no use to me. I try not to judge it one way or the other. I just say, well, that's not for me, you know? And I go with the positive side. For instance, and here's something very important to remember. The devil and the divine exist in every single one of us. It's up to you which one of those you're communicating with, okay? So I try to communicate with the divine in people, and that's what I get back most of the time. I'm not going to change looking at the divine no matter what they're showing me either. So, Ken.
I really love what you're saying about religion. I think it's quite a manipulation, of course. Like most of the most powerful lies, there's so much truth within them. It's a little bit of deception that really throws us off track. And I think there's really quite a trap with
Okay, atheism is a product, modern atheism, is a product of the same people who brought you Zionism. Go into who's running the show, and you'll see, they're all tribe members. Go to every alternative sexual organization. They're almost exclusively tribe members. And why are they using these? Do you think they really care about sexual equality or anything like that? No, they want to destroy the family unit. They want to use it as a political hammer. And this is what I'm opposed to, and I'm not shy about talking about that. People think, what, you're anti-gay? I spent a year living with a friend who was dying of AIDS, taking care of him, people thinking I'm gay and giving me all kinds of grief. In Woodstock, supposed to be a really liberal place. You know, and I've got a lot of gay friends. I think we're all born gay at some point. You know, and I think we're all inherently bisexual at some level. But since this is an age of materialism, we've turned it upside down, and this divine feminine that's coming down, which gives the intuition and all these other things, is starting to come out this way, see? You know, or this way. And so this atheism, this ain't accidental. They're doing this on purpose, and they want to give you the impression that you're a smart thinker. You're not a fearful thinker, and you don't need that bullwash about God. Well, I assure you there is a God. Real, and I've met him, her. And, I mean, I take psychedelics, and I go out into the wilderness, and I want to tell you, one-on-one is a happening thing. Now, if it didn't happen for other people, all you can say is, I don't know, because you just haven't had the experience yet. And I don't care if anyone believes me, because I only have to convince myself. That's the only person I have to convince. If other people gain some value from anything I say, well, good for them, and good for me too, for having been useful. But otherwise, I don't care. I don't argue with people. You got an argument? Take it to someone who cares. There are lots of other people that want to argue. You guys can argue all day long. Did I miss anything there? Or did you want to more from that?
No,
It is more than satisfying.
I'm going to expand on it a little bit, but I'd love to just...
Yes, sir.
Just on the point of argument, the argument, if you're into an argument, you're into right and wrong. If you're into a discussion, then you're into backwards and forwards.
Well, my feeling is if you're arguing, you've already missed the point. You know, you've already missed the point. You're not going to get the point by arguing. What's going to happen is one is going to browbeat or overcome the other through sheer force. And what are you going to create? Smothered hatred. This is what happens between men and women, especially in this day and age. When you meet someone and you fall in love, what have you got? Magic. And what is that magic? Freedom. This person you meet frees you up, allows you to express parts of yourself that hadn't come before. There's a magical aura over everything because you're in love. Then this love starts to take upon itself certain valuations. You don't want to lose it. You get jealous. You got to control it. What if it behaves in any way that goes contrary to your incredibly wide awareness of what's real and what isn't? You know? And so then what happens? This beautiful thing, this magical thing, becomes a prison camp. And instead of love, you've got smoldering hatred. Because hatred is love suppressed. And this is what happens when we take our love and can no longer give it in its most beautiful and profound way. You know, it's tragic. I see it all the time. I see it in people's eyes when I walk up and down the street. Because I'm always watching people. And I say to myself, is there anyone else out here watching? No. You know, and I do that. I'll sometimes go into big crowds and say, is there someone else standing around here trying to connect, you know? And that does trouble me. But it's going to change because it's like Mikhail Ivanov once said. I love this guy. Peter Dunow's disciple. He was in France during the time of the Second World War and a little past that. He said, when God wants to wake you up, he comes over and he gently taps your shoulder. And if you don't wake up, he comes back and more aggressively, he shakes your shoulder. Hey, wake up, wake up. And then if you don't wake up, God picks up a 2x4. Yes, sir.
I completely agree with you about the power of love. Only this week have I experienced it in resolving a very intractable family dispute. it could have gone either way, but love shone through, and the change was dramatic. Right, having said that, you're standing in front of a slide that says truth. Have you got anything to say about people who see truth differently? How can you address that?
Well, white light, let's call that absolute truth. When it goes through a prism, it comes out in 7 different rays. Now, each one of those are relative truths, and maybe, archetypal and enduring truths. Truth is something that endures. Same could be said for falsehoods. But truth is nearly impossible to define. But the pursuit of it will change you. And it will continually change you, and you'll be tried as you continually move further and further toward the truth. And at some point, you will have a personal experience concerning what the truth is. And that will very likely be different from what all kinds of other people are going to have, but that doesn't matter. That's the thing about the divine. All these religions, those are just clothes the divine put on to, get along with particular cultures. It was a way of reaching these people that speak this language and operate that way, and to say, it's all the same thing, And what is it? It's love. Love is what the divine is. It is the power of it. Everything is subject to love. Love is more powerful than anything else. Don't kid yourself otherwise. As far as truth, that's a subject that, it's very, define it. Which truth? Well, who said that? What is truth? You'd have to be more specific with me about it. Yes, sir.
For many years I was involved with the Arcane School, Alice Bailey, and I was always very disturbed by one phrase in the Great Invocation,
Yes.
which was supposed to be the prayer for the New Age, surpassing the
I was going to mention it today. It's written in my notes.
I beg your pardon. May Christ return to earth. Now, my understanding is that Christ has never left the earth, and that this invocation was somehow invoking the Antichrist. Now, I'm sorry to be so sort of straight on that, but it worried and concerned me for a long time. And by the way, I'm very interested in all the subjects you've been talking about. Thank you.
Sure. Well, like you said, that is your understanding. Okay? So it has to be seen within the context of the fact that is your understanding. Now, Christ did say in the Bible, greater things shall you do than I have done, because I go now unto my Father. And that's right there in the scripture. So whether that is so or not so, geez, I don't know. Because as far as I'm concerned, when Christ returns, it will be in the hearts of all of the people that are open to it. That is the second coming of Christ. In the hearts of all those who are open to it. And the thing I was going to mention from the Great Invocation, in relation to what I said about this emptying of the mind, and seal the door where evil dwells. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
That will be the last question, so, what's the question?
I don't know whether this is your area, but I was on the internet recently and not looking for anything conspiracy like. I was actually looking to hear a song called Mr. Postman by the Carpenters, and I was led to Planet X.
To where?
Planet X.
Planet X.
And it's like, I read about it, and it's like on its way due in 2015, and I wonder if you got any thoughts on that.
It's been on its way for a long time. Do they also call it Nibiru or something like that? See, to me, none of that stuff matters. Everything external is irrelevant. What are you going to do about it anyway? The only thing you can do anything about is inside you. Change yourself, you change the world. Absolutely guaranteed. Strive hard. Be determined. Have certitude. Don't give up. Do it with every ounce of strength you have. You can have anything you want. You can get anything you want. If you want it more than anything else. That's the secret. Whatever it is, good, bad, doesn't matter. If you want it more than anything else. Thank you.
Thank you very much.